I have a whole bunch of questions from you guys about all sorts of photography topics. So get comfortable, because here we go. First question is from Abdullah. I want to know anything about the art of editing. Best program, best technique, I don't know, LOL, make a video about editing photographs. There are a bunch of editing applications that are great. Which one you choose should depend on how much time that you like to spend in front of the computer and how much money you want to spend on it. So for example, I don't really do a whole lot of editing for most of my photos. I prefer to get the photo as I want it in the camera and not spend as much time with it again later on. For me, composing and shooting is the aspect of the art that I enjoy the most. But I encourage people to devote time to whichever aspects of photography appeal to them. If that's more software focused, that's great. It's all about being creative. Currently, I use Lightroom often, and then I only go into Photoshop occasionally. I've used everything from freeware to Photoshop Elements to Apple's editing apps and others. What I suggest you do, and anyone who's just getting started, is choose a free program. If you use a Mac, try out Apple's new Photos app. And for everyone, try out something like Google's free app, Picasa. That might be enough for you, or you might find out that you need more, but by then, you'll know which direction to head. Dewan says, first off, how are you doing? I have a few questions. What's currently in your camera bag? What flash triggers do you use when shooting using off-camera flash? And finally, can I get an autographed picture of you, LOL? Hi, Dewan. I'm doing well, thank you. I don't have anything in any of my camera bags right now. I empty them each time I get home and I put things away in their cubbies. As for what's in my cubbies, lots. Too much really, but a good selection of gear that I'd need for almost any situation. For flash triggers, I optically trigger my strobes or speed lights. And as for an autographed photo, yes, you can. You can find them here. Landry. Hey SnapChick, once again, thank you for all the great job done. I have two very simple questions. What was your biggest challenge when trying to be a pro photographer, and how did you overcome it? What are your biggest challenges today as a pro? I think that my biggest challenge when I was first getting going was my shyness. And I may seem outgoing when I'm here alone in my office, talking to a camera, but I'm actually pretty shy, and I used to be painfully shy. And I can't say that I've overcome it, but I've definitely gotten better just by making myself talk to people, kind of a fake it till you make it kind of thing. And then today my biggest challenge is definitely balancing my time between being the SnapChick that you see in my videos, researching and testing new gear for upcoming videos, and then actually going out into the world and taking pictures. Miguel asks, do you like shooting film? How about processing it and doing prints the old way? It sure looks fun from a hobbyist point of view. What's your opinion? I do like shooting film. I do it occasionally. I've got some film in my cubbies with my Nikon FG and my N65, but processing it is a big commitment compared to the instant rewards of digital photography. I keep saying that I want to try out some alternative processes, but finding the time, that's been challenging for me. But there will be a time where it feels right to load more of this than this. When the mood strikes me, it works great. I've learned not to force it though. Ken also has a film-related question. I look at the new film camera just out and wonder, can it catch on over digital? I can go to the garden with my DSLRs, take a picture of a bumblebee working on the flowers and check it on my camera screen, take out the SD card on going back to the house, put the card in my tablet, edit, go to Canon EPP and print out an A4. Also send images around the world, then put the card in my 50-inch TV to see all in less than an hour and have great prints to keep. Film, I wonder. There are still some film diehards out there. Technology marches forward, but I saw an interesting quote the other day in some article about film photographers that I don't even know where I read it, but it stuck with me. The gentleman compared photography to sculpting. He said that you can tell a sculptor to use wood or marble, but if he likes to use clay, that's what he's going to use, no matter what. Tony says, since I'm just starting out, this seems like a logical question. What is one piece of advice you found the most helpful in the beginning of your photography journey? Or if this is more interesting, what is one thing you wish you would have learned sooner? take pictures, review them, take more pictures. It may sound like a joke, but it's not. It's absolutely what I'm recommending. Just let it happen. Liam wants to know, what do you know about focus breathing? Focus breathing is the issue of the composition of your photo changing as you focus. The lens will actually zoom in a tiny bit as you focus, even prime lenses, which don't technically zoom. Some lenses breathe more than others. It can be an annoyance if you're trying to line up a shot exactly to do something like focus stacking in macro photography. It's not something that affects my own style of photography almost ever. Ivan says, thank you. I asked for your input on the Nikon 1 AW1 a while back, and your input helped our family make the right choice. I had missed the video where you answered the question, so I had to go back and watch it. Again, thank you. Our family passed on the AW1 and instead put that money on a Nikon D50-200. It came with two lenses, 18 to 55 millimeter DXVR lens and the 70 to 300 Nikon lens. We also bought the Nikon 35 millimeter f1.8 lens on the side. I really like using the 35 millimeter lens because it seems easier to work with. We have two boys, 2.5 and 9.5, who are just awesome. Sometimes we just pick up and leave and have family time. It can be a theme park, a lake, water park, etc. My question is this. Is there a good variable zoom lens other than the 18 to 55 that you recommend that will come in handy to sometimes just pick up and go? The more I get into photography, the more I learn that good lenses are not cheap. Yeah. We have a $400 to $600 budget range to work with. Is this amount too low or too high? Thank you for another Q&A. I enjoy watching your answers, and thank you for helping newcomers in photography. Have a great summer, SnapChick. Wowza. I'm glad I could help. But you know what? I wouldn't suggest getting anything else right now. Use what you have for a while and see if you feel like you're lacking anything in any of those situations where you're in. Use this time to tune your technique, because your biggest gains in photography will come from the skills that you develop, not the gear that you buy. Once you develop a personal style, you may find that you want a super zoom lens like an 18 to 200, or that you really like prime lenses and you want to go in that direction. Or it might be something else entirely. On to a question from Mike. When there's an autofocus and manual focus switch on both the lens and the body, what one will take priority, or do you need to keep them on the same setting to prevent any damage? On modern bodies and lenses, you can usually use them interchangeably, meaning that setting either to manual means that your whole setup will be manual focus. However, I would check out your specific camera's manual just to make sure, especially if you're using any older gear. You can look in the focus section, or there's often a lens compatibility section. If you can't find the information though, let me know. I can try to track down an answer specific to your situation. Shrezan says, I have around $700 budget for a new lens, already owning the Tamron 18 to 200 millimeter. Should I get a 10 to 24 millimeter Nikon or Sigma 18 to 35 1.8? Should I gamble $700 for wide angle or play it safe with 18 to 35 f1.8? Well, do you often feel like you want to go ultra wide in your images? Like, do you find that you want to zoom out more than your 18 to 200 allows you to do? If so, the ultra wide is a great idea. Between the lenses you mentioned, for me, I'd get more use out of the 10 to 24. You already have the 18 to 35 millimeter range covered with your 18 to 200, although the Sigma has a wider aperture, but I've never really found myself wanting or needing to shoot wide apertures at wide angles. Robert, what is your favorite place to hike? I love hiking in new places, but I do always go back to the Grand Canyon for the challenge and the views. Roger, hey SnapChick, what's your advice for someone looking to transition from doing photography as a hobby to doing photography to make money on the side? I've done a few paid shoots for close friends so far, i.e. graduation photos, family events, and have begun building a portfolio on Flickr and hopefully soon a website, but I don't really know what to do from that point on. I guess the real question here is, how does a photographer starting out advertise and get their name out there, and what are some good channels to do so? Thanks. I found that word of mouth is a magical thing. If you take care of your clients, do good work for them, they'll tell their friends, who will tell their friends, and their friends. When I was first starting out, I also offered to assist established photographers for free. I always ended up getting paid something, and they started referring clients to me too. So that was a really good way for me to just start building up my clientele. Heiko says, to go away from those standard which lens blah blah questions, here are some I am really interested in. Did it ever happen that a client or model had a different taste than you and wanted to use a picture that you were not good with because it was technical 100% perfect, and so you did not want your name on that single picture? And a related question, did you ever want to pull back a picture from the internet you did years ago just because you improved picture quality immensely since then and did not want this old picture still used as a reference of your photographic skills? When I provide images to a client, I make sure that I'm putting my best effort out. If I'm not satisfied with an image, the client never sees it. As for taking photos down from the internet, sure. I mean, if we're talking about portfolios, I would say you should change it up from time to time. Your skills may improve, but your style is also going to evolve. And plus, you'll be giving people something new to look at and to come back to your site for. Macro Tiger, can I use a high cry 400 watt metal halide overhead light in lieu of an HMI light? Are these equivalent? P.S. I am shooting motion picture. Ooh, that's exciting. I think you're saying that you want to use non-professional lighting equipment rather than purchase motion picture specific lighting. And my answer is you can use whatever you want. Now, I'm no video expert and I can't tell you the practical differences between using each of them for video, but I can tell you that there are certainly benefits from using lighting built for your specific purpose. In this case, flexibility might be a consideration. Professional lighting will often be easy to move around and to position from shot to shot, but it can also be expensive. So sometimes experimenting with what you have or taking a bit of a chance with non-pro lighting just to save money is a good way to go. That's all of them. Thank you guys for your great questions. You can see more of my Q&A videos in the playlist that is popping up somewhere above my head right now. And keep an eye on my Facebook page for the next time that I ask for your questions.